Oh, Grant and Elise enjoying the fruits of working on magic homes like that. You know, it's a great pleasure to be here every week and looking at these homes that we have in Adelaide, the character, the style, but on a sunny day like that, out there, just gorgeous. And that's Eastern Suburbs at its absolute best. Now, we have had Emma Slape here, who's the General Manager of RESA. So, Emma, we were talking about, by the way, welcome back.
Thanks, Anthony.
We are live and interactive.
We are.
Indeed.
I better behave.
Exactly right. Emma, we didn't get to crystal ball gazing, and I know that you don't like doing this, but I'm definitely wanting on record what you will think, because everyone out there who's watching wants to know from people like yourself what the market's going to do. So we're in October now. What's going to happen over the next 3, 6, 12 months?
Well, I think over the next 3 months we'll see a lift on winter. I think it will be a modest lift, but I think we're a long way away from where we were 2 years ago. Lift
in prices or activity?
I think a little bit of both. I think just modest, sort of, you know, looking at the lending figures, we might see sort of 1 to 2%. We're not going to see big gains of bounce back to 2009 days. I think when you look at the economy, there's a couple of things going on. Obviously, the carbon tax isn't great for housing. There's a lot of uncertainty about that.
I cannot believe the carbon tax.
I mean, you know, when you're talking about adding to the cost of building a home, the next market is, of course, resale, and that's where it's going to hit real estate agents.
It's going to flow through everything,
Absolutely,
isn't it?
absolutely. And, you know, it's about jobs and economy as well, because that affects people's lending ability. So it's definitely a bit of a watching brief on that one. Lending is still generally very tight, and agents every day are saying that that's a really big factor. So I think until banks feel a bit more positive about really the global economy. We were talking in the break about Europe, and you know, things are pretty patchy there as well. So I think we're probably, you know, 2 years away from a real move back to that higher sales volume of, you know, 20,000 plus a year. So I think we're in a fairly stable market, and people are saying it's flat, but in 12 months I think you and I will probably be saying this is a normal market, and the market needs to adjust a little.
Completely agree. I think it is. Now, I'm getting the wind up here, but I want to get through...
Oh, he's trying to wind us up.
Yeah, we're running the show. So, from Yvonne, I want to sell I want to sell my house, you've read it, and ideally suited to an international buyer. How would I publicise my property globally?
Probably the first thing I'd say is don't limit yourself. And if you're looking online, then you've got the availability for everyone. So I'd be talking to my agent about how you can publicise to everyone. So not just... Don't limit yourself to that market. Make sure it's available for everyone to see your property, and online is definitely the number one option there. What do you think, Anthony?
I completely agree. I mean, online is huge. Social media is huge as well. So we're tapping into, when we say online, that's traditional websites, which I call traditional. Now we're saying websites are traditional because they're old. Now social media, and there's an enormous amount of activity online, which is not your traditional website. So pretty much all of that, Yvonne. Now, Marissa, given clearance rates are abysmal, now that's not very fair, abysmal, well, they're not great.
Yeah, that's a bit rough, yeah.
Why are agents still using the auction method of sale?
Well, I wouldn't say they're abysmal. They're hovering sort of 40 to 50% clearance rate, which ain't great, first one to say that. But I think you've got to really talk about it with your agent about whether that property is going to attract a lot of people. You know, I've got a place in Torrens Park, great location, but we don't have a square block, you know, so we wouldn't have developer interest. We wouldn't, it's a 1960s conventional place, you know, we'd be looking at private treaty. And I think that's what people need to consider is this property immediately going to attract a flurry of buyers, or do I want my agent out there working there and negotiating hard like that? So I think it's a property proposition, really. That's a hard one to say. Property by property proposition.
You got it. Emma, and I have a slightly different take on it. I think that auction is the only way you can genuinely put a line in the sand and say basically to the people out there that if you're looking to buy this, you will need to either be there on the day and buy it, or be there on the day, even if you're unable to meet auction conditions, to talk about buying it, because it does tend to compress the time it takes to sell substantially.
Fair point.
Emma, that's been awesome. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Okay, now let's go and see some hot properties.
hope you enjoyed the show and the Reese Awards. And, well, I'm not actually sure what we've got at the time I'm doing this, but I figured it wouldn't be a good idea to do it at the end of the night. Next week's SA's Finest is Aldana. Fantastic property up there. So see you next Wednesday. We're live. We're interactive. We'll look forward to seeing you at the next show.